Hey everyone, ever feel like you're chasing these huge goals, but your resources are like comically limited?
Yeah, like you've got this grand vision, but your budget's having none of it.
Exactly. And it's easy to let that stop us before we even start.
Oh, absolutely. Like hitting a brick wall before you even get out the door.
So, in this deep dive, we're talking about turning those limitations into launchpads. We're ditching the excuses and getting into the nitty-gritty of making things happen, even when it seems impossible.
Love that because
Yeah.
unrealistic is often just a matter of perspective, right?
Right. And sometimes those limitations can spark some seriously creative solutions. I mean, think about Steve Jobs starting Apple in a garage.
Classic example, right?
But they were seriously limited on funds, weren't they?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like handing out flyers at computer clubs, even doing free repairs just to get people familiar with Apple.
hmm
Who knew that those scrappy beginnings would lead to, well, everything Apple is today?
It's amazing what a little ingenuity can do when you're forced to think outside the box? Totally. But ingenuity alone can only take us so far. We need a plan. And that's where budgeting comes in.
Budgeting, the word that makes everyone cringe.
I know, right? But it doesn't have to be scary.
No, not at all. Think of it like this. A budget isn't about deprivation. It's about giving yourself permission to achieve your goals.
It's about making conscious choices with your money.
Exactly. And one of the simplest ways to get started is with the 50-30-20 rule. Are you familiar with that one?
Oh, yeah. It's a classic for a reason, right?
Absolutely. So basically, you're dividing your after-tax income into three categories. 50% goes toward your needs.
The non-negotiables. Rent, groceries, bills.
Right, you got to keep the lights on. Then 30% goes toward your wants.
The fun stuff. Eating out, entertainment, that new gadget you've been eyeing.
Exactly. And that leaves 20% for savings and debt repayment.
Which, let's be honest, can feel like the biggest roadblock sometimes.
Huge.
Ah,
But here's the thing. That 20%, it's not just about being responsible. It's about fueling your dreams.
okay, I like where you're going with this.
So let's say your big goal is to quit your 9 to 5 and launch your own business.
The dream.
Right. That 20% becomes your safety net, your investment fund, your launch pad for making that dream a reality.
Suddenly, saving isn't about restriction. It's about empowerment.
100%. And you don't have to do it all manually either. There are some fantastic budgeting apps out there that make it super easy.
Right. Like Mint or YNA. They track your spending, help you set goals, even give you little nudges along the way, like having a personal finance coach in your pocket.
Totally. But even with the best budget in the world, we all need a little extra boost sometimes.
Because staying motivated can be tough, especially when those goals feel miles away.
Well, tell me about it. So what do? We need to get our minds right.
And that's where visualization comes in, right?
Oh, 100%. Visualization is super powerful.
It's not just about daydreaming, though, is it? It's about, like, really feeling those goals, right?
Exactly. It's about creating that mental movie,
Yeah.
seeing yourself achieving those goals so vividly that your brain's like, wait, this is totally doable.
So it's about tricking your brain a little, making it believe it's already happening.
In a way, yeah. And the more senses you engage, the more real it becomes.
Yeah.
Like, let's say your goal is to finally travel the world. Don't just picture the Eiffel Tower or the Great Wall.
Imagine yourself actually there.
Right. Tasting that street food, feeling the sun on your skin, hearing the sounds of the city. The more real you make it in your mind.
The more your brain's like, let's make this happen.
Exactly. And, alongside visualization, our sources also talk about the power of affirmations. Those daily pep talks can be game changers.
Oh, yeah. Instead of, I can't afford that trip, it's, I am attracting abundance and creating the life of my dreams.
Exactly. It might feel silly at first, but trust me, words have power.
They totally do. And then there's journaling, which I've always found super helpful for, like processing those inevitable ups and downs.
Journaling is amazing for tracking your progress, too. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget how far you've come.
And those little wins deserve to be celebrated. Okay, so we've got the mindset, the budget, the motivation. But what about resources? Like, even with all the willpower in the world, finding ways to learn new skills or connect with the right people can be tough on a tight budget.
That's where a little resourcefulness goes a long way. And honestly, you'd be amazed by what's available online for free these days.
Like, forget expensive courses, right? There's YouTube for practically everything.
Seriously. And platforms like Coursera offer incredible courses from top universities, often for free if you're not looking for college credit. You can learn pretty much anything from the comfort of your own home.
It's amazing. And what about networking? Because that can feel like a whole other beast, right? Like,
Yeah.
you need to be attending fancy conferences and schmoozing with the elite.
And that's just not true. There are tons of free networking events happening all the time, both online and in person. Local meetups, webinars, workshops. You'd be surprised how many people are eager to connect and collaborate.
So it's about being open to those opportunities and like putting yourself out there.
Exactly. Sometimes those limitations can even lead to more creative solutions. One of our sources talked about this entrepreneur who couldn't afford traditional marketing.
So what did they do?
They got super creative with social media. They tapped into user-generated content, built a community around their brand. They turned their limitation into their unique selling point.
That's brilliant. Instead of seeing a dead end, they found a detour and ended up somewhere even better. It's like that saying, where there's a will, there's a way.
100%. It's about shifting that perspective.
Hmm.
When we view our limitations as roadblocks, we stop looking for the workarounds. But when we see them as opportunities for innovation, that's when the magic happens.
Totally. Okay, so we've got the mindset, the budget, the motivation, we're finding resources, thinking outside the box. But how do we actually stay the course? It's like we've been prepping for this climb the whole time, right? We've got our gear, we've studied the map.
That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You're going to hit those steep inclines, those moments where you want to give up.
Totally. So how do we keep from turning back? What keeps us going when the going gets tough?
That's where having a support system can be a game changer. Our sources talk a lot about the power of accountability partners. Having someone in your corner, whether it's a mentor, a friend, a family member, even just someone who gets it.
It's like having that hiking buddy who keeps you going when you want to quit.
Exactly. Someone to celebrate those small wins with. Because let's be real, the big wins, they don't happen every day. But those small victories, those are what keep you motivated for the long haul.
So true. Celebrate those small wins, even if it's just treating yourself to like an extra fancy latte. You deserve it.
Exactly. Acknowledge that progress. It's easy to get caught up in what's next, what's still to come, but take the time to appreciate how far you've already come.
Yeah,
You're capable of amazing things, sometimes you just need that reminder.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
That your limitations, they don't define you. They might even be the very things that propel you towards something extraordinary. Don't be afraid to get scrappy. Think outside the box and turn those perceived roadblocks into launchpads for success.
I love that. It's about embracing those limitations and using them to your advantage. It's about remembering that unrealistic is often just a starting point, not a dead end. So go out there, chase those dreams, and remember, you've got this.